You have been paying 8 times too much for your house your entire life, and a dead guy from 1908 can prove it. Stay with me because this will make you furious. Right here in my hands, I am holding a piece of American history that is going to blow your mind. This is the 1908 Sears, Roebuck and Company catalog, and it is not just some dusty old book from your grandpa's attic. This catalog is proof that the American dream used to be affordable, accessible, and built to last longer than a cast iron skillet. Back in 1908, you could flip through these pages and order yourself a brand new house for $1,475. That is right, a full-size, move-in ready, American-made house delivered straight to your doorstep. We are talking about the modern home number 108, complete with lumber, nails, shingles, windows, doors, and even the kitchen sink. Now, before you say, but Cowboy, $1 back then was worth way more than today, let me stop you right there. You are absolutely correct. And that is exactly the point I am about to drive home like a nail through a 2x4. If we adjust that 1908 price for inflation, that house should cost you about $50,000 in today's money. Go ahead and open up your favorite real estate app and try to find a brand new home for $50,000. You will have better luck teaching a goldfish to ride a bicycle. The average American home today costs over $400,000. And that is if you are lucky enough to avoid a bidding war. So, where did the rest of your hard-earned money disappear to? It got eaten alive by inflation, sucked dry by taxes, and siphoned off by a corporate system that wants you broke, dependent, and renting everything from your apartment to your furniture. They have convinced you that paying $3,000 a month for a cramped apartment, the size of a walk-in closet, is just the cost of living. They have sold you on the idea that financing a truck for 7 years at 15% interest is a smart move because, hey, you need those heated seats. This is not just bad economics, folks. This is financial warfare, and you are losing. The system is designed to keep you in debt, keep you distracted, and keep you from ever building real wealth. But here is the kicker that is going to change everything. The 1908 Sears catalog was not magic. And the people shopping from it were not financial geniuses. They simply operated under a completely different set of rules. And today, I'm going to teach you how to bring those rules back to life. This is the Sears catalog trick, and it is going to save you $10,000 a year without forcing you to live like a hermit in the woods. Let me hit you with a fact so hard it will rattle your bootstraps. Since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, the United States dollar has lost over 96% of its purchasing power. That means your great-grandfather could buy a week's worth of groceries for what you pay for a single burger and fries today. That is not progress. That is highway robbery with a smile and a credit card terminal. But I did not bring you here to cry about the death of the dollar or complain about how unfair the system is. I brought you here to fight back, to reclaim your purchasing power, and to start thinking like a 1908 American again. The people who shopped from the Sears catalog understood something we have forgotten. They knew the difference between price and value, and they refused to waste money on junk that fell apart after 6 months. They demanded quality, they bought assets that appreciated or lasted a lifetime, and they avoided debt like it was a rattlesnake in their boot. Today, we have traded ownership for subscriptions, quality for convenience, and savings for instant gratification. And while you are busy paying for streaming services you forgot you signed up for, Uncle Sam and his corporate buddies are laughing all the way to the bank. It is time to wake up, dust off that pioneer spirit, and start playing by the old rules again. In the next part, we are going to dive deep into the first pillar of the Sears strategy, something I call asset density. We are going to expose why your modern spending habits are full of hot air and how to start packing real value into every dollar you spend. All right, buckle up, Patriots, because we are about to go deep into the first pillar of the Sears catalog trick. I call this concept asset density, and it is the reason your great-grandfather retired at 60 while you were stacking side hustles just to afford rent. Asset density is a simple but revolutionary idea that separates wealth builders from paycheck prisoners. It is the amount of real, lasting value you get for every single dollar you spend. Think of it like this. If you spend $100 on something that breaks in 6 months, your asset density is pathetic. But if you spend $100 on something that lasts 30 years and actually increases in value, you just played the game like a financial genius. Back in 1908, people shopping from the Sears catalog were obsessed with asset density, even if they did not have a fancy name for it. They measured every purchase by how long it would last, how useful it would be, and whether it would hold or gain value over time. Let me give you a perfect example that will blow your mind. In 1908, you could buy a solid oak dining table from Sears for $12. Adjusted for inflation, that is about $370 in today's money. Now, you might be thinking that sounds expensive for a table, but here is where asset density comes into play. That oak table was built to survive a nuclear apocalypse. It was constructed with hand-selected hardwood, mortise and tenon joints, and a finish that could withstand decades of family dinners, homework sessions, and Thanksgiving arguments. Fast forward to today, and that same table is still standing in someone's home, probably worth over $2,000 as a vintage piece. Meanwhile, you just bought a particle board table from a big box store for $250, and it is going to collapse the moment your nephew leans on it too hard. Let me hit you with the math that changes everything. The 1908 table cost $370 and lasted 117 years, giving you a cost per year of about $3.16. Your modern particle board disaster costs $250 and will last maybe 5 years if you are lucky, giving you a cost per year of $50. That is not just a bad deal. That is financial suicide in slow motion. This is what I mean by asset density. The 1908 shopper packed more value, durability, and wealth preservation into every dollar than we can even imagine today. They were not buying furniture. They were buying assets that would serve multiple generations. They were not chasing the latest trend. They were investing in quality that would stand the test of time. Now, let me ask you a hard question that is going to sting a little. How much of the stuff you have bought in the last 5 years is still useful, still functional, and still adding value to your life? If you are like most Americans, the answer is depressing. Your closet is full of clothes you wore once. Your garage is packed with gadgets that broke after 3 uses. And your subscriptions are draining your bank account for services you forgot existed. You have been conditioned to buy cheap, buy often, and buy on credit. The system has convinced you that low prices equal good deals. But that is the biggest lie ever sold to the American consumer. Low prices do not mean anything if the product is worthless within a year. High asset density means spending more upfront to save a fortune over time. And that is exactly what the Sears generation understood. Here's the game changer. If you start measuring every purchase by its asset density, you will instantly save thousands of dollars. You will stop buying junk that depreciates the second you open the box, and you will start investing in things that hold value, last decades, and actually make your life better. In the next part, we are going to talk about the second pillar of the Sears strategy, the ownership economy. We are going to expose how renting everything is the fastest way to stay broke and why 1908 Americans refused to rent anything they could own. Okay, freedom fighters, get ready for a truth bomb that is going to rattle every subscription you are paying for right now. We are diving into the second pillar of the Sears catalog trick, and I call it the ownership economy. Here is the harsh reality. Every single month, you are hemorrhaging money on things you will never own, never build equity in, and never pass down to your kids. You have been brainwashed into thinking that renting everything is convenient, modern, and smart. But let me tell you what it really is. It is financial quicksand, and you are sinking deeper with every monthly payment. Back in 1908, Americans operated under a completely different philosophy. and it is time we bring it back. The Sears generation refused to rent anything they could own. They understood a simple principle that we have completely forgotten. Ownership builds wealth, and renting builds someone else's wealth. Let me paint you a picture that is going to make your blood boil. The average American now spends $133 per month on subscriptions alone, which adds up to nearly $1,600 per year. That is streaming services, software, meal kits, fitness apps, cloud storage, and a dozen other things you forgot you signed up for. Over 30 years, that is $48,000 down the drain with absolutely nothing to show for it. Now, let me show you what your great-grandfather would have done with that same money. You would have bought assets, a quality tool set, a piece of land, a well-built appliance, or materials to build something that lasts. Those purchases would still be generating value today, possibly worth 10 times what he paid. Meanwhile, you are still making monthly payments for access to things that disappeared the second you stop paying. Let me give you a real-world example that will blow your mind. In 1908, you could buy a Singer sewing machine from Sears for $27. Adjusted for inflation, that is about $830 today. Now, that might sound expensive, but here is where the ownership economy destroys the rental trap. That Singer sewing machine still works today, over 117 years later. It has been passed down through generations, saved families thousands of dollars in clothing repairs, and is now worth over $1,500 as a collector's item. Compare that to your monthly subscription to a clothing rental service that charges you $88 per month. After 10 years, you will have spent $10,560, and you will own exactly 0 pieces of clothing. This is the scam of the century, and you have been sold on it because they call it convenience. But convenience is just another word for permanent dependency. And dependency is the opposite of wealth. The 1908 American understood something we have forgotten. Every dollar you spend should move you closer to ownership, not further into servitude. They saved up, they bought quality, and they owned their lives outright. Today we rent our homes, lease our cars, subscribe to our software, and finance everything else. We have been convinced that ownership is outdated, that access is enough, and that monthly payments are manageable. But here is the math that destroys that lie. If you spend $500 per month on rent, leases, and subscriptions, that is $6,000 per year going into someone else's pocket. Over 30 years, that is $180,000 with 0 equity, 0 ownership, and 0 wealth to pass on. Your great-grandfather would be disgusted. He would tell you to stop renting your life and start owning your future. And that is exactly what we are going to do. In the next part, we are going to talk about the third pillar, the anti-debt revolution. We are going to expose how credit cards and financing traps are designed to keep you broke, and how 1908 Americans avoided debt like the plague. All right, Patriots, grab your coffee and maybe a stress ball, because we are about to talk about America's favorite financial weapon of mass destruction, credit card debt. Welcome to the third pillar of the Sears catalog trick, and I call it the anti-debt revolution. Right now, the average American is hauling around over $104,000 in total debt, and credit card balances alone have smashed through $1.21 trillion nationwide. Let that sink in. That is enough money to buy every American a brand new Ford F-150 and still have enough left over for a lifetime supply of apple pie. But instead of trucks and pie, you are buying overpriced lattes, late-night impulse purchases, and paying interest that would make a loan shark blush. The average credit card interest rate is hovering around 22%, higher than a bald eagle on the 4th of July. If you carry $7,000 in credit card debt with that 22% interest and only make minimum payments, you will end up paying more than $17,000. That is like buying the bank a vacation home in Aspen while you are still renting a shoebox in downtown. Your great-grandfather would not just be disappointed, he would challenge the bank president to a duel at high noon. Back in 1908, Debt was not a lifestyle choice. It was a crisis to avoid like a rattlesnake in your boots. The Sears generation operated on a simple rule. If you cannot pay cash, you cannot afford it. They saved up, delayed gratification, and bought things outright without owing anyone a single red cent. Now you might ask, how did they buy houses and cars without financing? Easy. They lived within their means, prioritized ownership, and embraced patience over instant gratification. They would rather own a modest house free and clear than rent a McMansion from the bank for 30 years. They understood every dollar spent on interest is a dollar stolen from their future and their barbecue fun. Here's a truth that will make your blood pressure spike. If you carry a $7,000 balance at 22% interest and make only minimum payments, it will take over 28 years to pay it off. That is longer than it took to build the Hoover Dam, fight 2 world wars, and invent the cheeseburger. During those 28 years, you will pay over $10,000 in pure interest alone. That's not buying you a house, a car, or a decent vacation. That is buying the CEO of MasterCard another yacht. This is not finance. This is financial warfare, and you are losing every single month. The system wants you in debt because debt is control, and control means profit for everyone except you. Now here's the revolutionary idea. What if you just stop playing their game? Go back to the 1908 model and refuse to buy anything you cannot afford with cold, hard, freedom-loving cash. You would instantly eliminate interest payments, late fees, and the stress of wondering if you can make next month's payment. You would start building real wealth instead of renting your lifestyle from Visa and American Express. The Sears generation refused to enrich bankers at their own expense, and it is time we do the same. I'm not saying cut up every card today, but stop treating debt like a tool and start treating it like the trap it is. Pay cash whenever possible. Eliminate high-interest debt aggressively, and never finance something that loses value the moment you buy it. In the final part, we are going to tie it all together and show you the exact action plan to save $10,000 per year using the Sears catalog trick. We'll break down the steps, mindset shifts, and strategies to transform you from consumer into a wealth builder. All right, amigos, this is it. The moment you have been waiting for since you started watching this video. We are about to hand you the keys to the kingdom, the secret sauce, the map to financial freedom that your great-grandfather would give you a standing ovation for. You have learned about asset density, the ownership economy, and the anti-debt revolution. Now it is time to put it all together and show you exactly how to save $10,000 a year using the Sears catalog trick. Step 1. Stop buying garbage that breaks faster than a paper bag in a rainstorm. From now on, before you buy anything, ask yourself this magic question. Will this thing still be working and adding value to my life in 10 years? If the answer is no, walk away faster than a cat from a bathtub. If the answer is yes, then measure its asset density and make sure you are getting maximum value for every dollar spent. Step 2. Embrace cash only living like your financial life depends on it. Because it does. Cut up those credit cards or at least lock them in a safe and pretend they do not exist, like that gym membership you never use. Pay cash for everything you can, from your morning coffee to your car repairs. You will instantly feel the difference when you are not bleeding interest payments like a leaky bucket at a county fair. Step 3. Attack your debt like a bald eagle attacking a fish. Use the debt snowball method. Start with your smallest balance. Pay it off completely, then roll that payment into the next debt. Keep going until you are debt-free and financially liberated. Imagine waking up every morning knowing you do not owe a single cent to anyone. That is freedom, baby. Step 4. Stop renting your life and start owning it. Cancel those subscriptions you forgot about. Stop leasing things that lose value. And start buying quality assets that last longer than your neighbor's New Year's resolutions. Remember that oak table from 1908? That is your new standard. Buy things that your great-grandkids will still be using at their family barbecues. Step 5. Build your freedom budget. Track every dollar. Know where your money is going, and make sure you are saving and investing at least 20% of your income. Set a target to save $10,000 this year by cutting out the junk, eliminating interest payments, and buying smarter. That is less than $834 per month. And trust me, you are already wasting that on stuff you do not need. Now here is the big payoff, the moment of truth. If you follow these 5 steps for just 1 year, you will save $10,000. Eliminate your high-interest debt and start building real wealth that lasts. You will sleep better, stress less, and finally feel like you are winning the financial game instead of getting played. You will look back at this moment and realize this was the day everything changed, the day you stopped being a consumer and became a wealth builder. The greatest wealth in America is not money. It is freedom. Freedom to own your home. Freedom to retire early. Freedom to live life on your terms without being controlled by banks, credit cards, or subscriptions. And now you have the blueprint, the Sears catalog trick that will transform your financial future. So what are you waiting for, Patriot? Go make that cash cow work for you. Do not let your wallet ride alone. Subscribe in the next 10 seconds before this video disappears like your paycheck on payday.